Welcome back on the AM show. Now, if you were alive in 1983, which I was, you would have heard of that tumultuous event which saw about 1 million Ghanaians exiting, being pushed out of Nigeria. Nigeria struggling with its own issues, economic, corruption-related, and a disgruntled population under President Shehu Shagari. Well, that led to this mass migration. But there is this new docu that we're going to be airing at the Silverbird cinema come the 28th of February, moving on from there. And it's titled Omogana, Man for Chop. Man for Chop, look a few. But joining me in the studio to discuss this, Kwame Bwedi, he's executive producer, director. Kwame, good morning.
Thank you, Ben. Thank
you for joining the conversation. Why this idea, Omogana, Man for Chop? Where did it come from?
Good one. So, you know, 83, like you said, there's portions of 2 million West Africans from Nigeria, of which 1 million were Ghanaians. At the time, our population was like 10 million. So close to 10% of Ghanaians were sent back. And this was a time when we had drought and all that. So the idea to do this, 2023, a group of academics, Dr. Akusua, Dakwa, Geraldine, doctors, all of...
Geraldine Adiku.
Exactly, of they teach sociology and so on. Legon, Faisal, Gaba, and a few others. And Franca, Mariando, they put together a series of talks to commemorate the event. Franca invited me to one such at a place at the airport. And
I did. I attended that event as well, at Kappa Cappuccino.
Exactly.
Right.
So I sat there. I think I left earlier than usual because I had another meeting. But the following morning, I had a light bulb. I said, oh, but this... Because some of us were alive then. You know, you were asking. And it's, like you said, it was very tumultuous, very chaotic period.
In fact, my family had lived in Nigeria from the late 70s, thereabouts, mid to late 70s, and even at that time. So
you're an agege man. You're returning yourself. You know. So and so we said, why should commemoration, just a few talks and speeches, and it will die out because there are lots of people who don't know what's happening. You know, migration is so topical.
Yeah.
I said, why don't we do a documentary?
And speaking of that documentary, I just want us to quickly look at the trailer, and then we shall come back into the studio. I want you to watch this.
Ààrẹ, kárìn kápọ̀ síbẹ̀síbẹ̀, igi kan kì í dágbó ṣe, ara kì í sá fún ara.
It's 1983. President Shehu Shagari of Nigeria has ordered for the deportation of undocumented migrants.
Most of the people to be affected are West Africans, our brothers and sisters, especially from Ghana.
Have you so soon forgotten about 1969? When they got rid of us like rats from their country?
Migrants are human beings. How about that?
Where are you coming from? Nationality!
Oh, Ghana.
Omo Ghana. Calm down. From the car.
My brother.
Who are your brothers?
The idea that national boundaries should be borders have to be done away with. Instead, we have to think of them as bridges.
We have to humanize migrants.
We have relatives, we have friends who are migrants, and we ourselves might in future be migrants as well.
Now, what's interesting, there was the Deportation Act, briefly, under Nkrumah, but to a major extent, 1969, under K.A. Buzia. And you would see that reference being made in the play.
Exactly.
Interesting dynamics in there. But with the 1 million or so people that were forced to leave, I mean, you've spoken about the genesis of creating or fashioning this story. How were you able to tap into it historically?
I mean, like I said, some of us were old enough. So for me, it was a live.
You saw some of it?
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, when they were coming, bars in articulated trucks and the Toyota Haze, and some of them in the trucks, they'll be carrying their mattresses. I mean, they're standing in articulated trucks, come together like a herd of cattle, sorry, and they're carrying their mattresses. Can you imagine? It was a crazy thing at the borders and all that. So it was easy to research. And I'm happy you mentioned the alliance compliance of that and so on. So, some said it was tit for tat, but it has present-day parallels. You know, it's a political thing. The politicians in all the countries, I don't want to mention which country, you know, tend to use migrants as scapegoats. You know, so when there's a trouble and then the nationalists come out and they say, well, it's the foreigners who are causing it, so let's sack them, let's get them out of here. But research has shown that, indeed, migrants bring a net positive to their host countries. Now, but you see, so I'm very well researched because we were privileged to work with academics. I've mentioned Dr. Kosia, Dakwa, Geraldine, Faisal, Gamali Choduro, Nadine, Soa Choduro. They are all executive producers here. Because they started this thing, because they organized those commemorations. And they are sociologists, psychologists, but most of them specialize in migration. So
why is it important to commemorate? Why is it important to remember these things? We're talking of 1983. We're in 2025.
No, because it's still alive. Nothing has changed. These days they have this Yoruba term. It's actually in the Oxford Dictionary recently. You for Jakpa. You know, everybody's living. You know, we go through the Sahara Desert. We go through the oceans and get drowned and keep on going. It hasn't changed. It won't change because migration is as old as Adam. I mean, ever since, from the hunter-gatherers and so on. In fact, that is how nations have been formed. The United States of America is great because of its cultural diversity, because of all the Europeans and Africans and Latinos who have gone there and brought their diverse culture and talent and so on. And so people will move.
Regardless of what happens.
Yeah, and again, there's an interesting fact. People think that migration is only south-north, from the poor to the... But actually, greater migration happens south-south.
Right.
Exactly. So migration happens, and you have rural, urban migration, and so on.
And when you say south-south, you're talking of the global economic south.
Exactly. So people, like we moved to Nigeria.
Yeah.
And then Nigerians also come here, and so on. So that happens more than from here to Europe and from here to North America and so on.
What is interesting is that if you look at the trends from the 1990s to now, the migratory figures have remained stable.
Exactly.
So 2.9%, now 3.3%, which means that migration is going on anyway. But the interesting question then is, how do we benefit from this as Ghanaians?
Indeed,
before we segue back to the story.
Thank you, Ben. Actually, that is the reason why we've done this. There's an important document, an agreement by the UN called Global Compact for Migration. I would advise everybody to go read it. Because in there, they agree that indeed migration is a good thing. Because, just before we came in here, I was telling you about our case. Let's use our case of people living, and let's use our nurses. When people say nurses are living, they're leaving Ghana and going to UK and so on. Yet we also hear that nurses, when they complete, do not get employment. Some of them stay for 2-3 years. What that tells me is that, so it means we have a comparative advantage. We can grow people, we can grow talent, we can grow skills here. So why don't we be more deliberate about it? Let's find a way to educate people so that the talents who are needed elsewhere can go. We know they send money back home. 4 billion, 5 billion per annum. It's more than any of those so-called development partners send to us. So indeed, if we are very deliberate about migration, they say knowledge is power. If we teach our people where they are needed, if we are very measured and scientific about it, we can well benefit from the jackpine.
And we see countries that have. I've lived in Cuba for a while, and they have done that over the period. I mean, in some cases, teachers, if you remember from the 50s and the embargo and what they did to shore up their economy, and but especially with medical staff. Exactly. And Ghana has benefited quite a bit from doctors and others from Cuba.
Yeah. The Jamaicans also have the same policy. So it's not new. So it's something, and in Ghana, we like school. So we tend to have a lot of talent. We're everywhere in the world and so on. So let's tap into that. This is say plug into that and be deliberate about it. So that we will become a hub for education, for health and so on. And the money that we get. And we train the people and they go. So as we train them, we must find a way to make sure they pay back. And then we use that to grow our institutions. And then, but we're not saying everybody should go, because for some people, migration is not a good thing. That's why you got to scan and be sure. Some people, when I hear somebody say, I paid $20,000 to a visa contractor, I say, wow, that you don't need to go to a brochure.
If you have $20,000.
If you can save, because where you're going in Europe is very difficult. Even the upper middle class and so on, you won't get $20,000 in somebody's account. They actually have zilch. They just live on credit cards. So for some people, they are creative and they must be here. But for some people, they must go out to sell their talents. They must go out to educate themselves, because we know that when you want to specialize in some areas, it's better to go there for experience, for cultural exchange. It's all good. So we must be a bit more nuanced about it. So we want the discourse. So this is not just a film that you watch and go away. That's why we have the academics on board. We intend that we do lots of Q&As, and fortunately we have multimedia on board. You know, you guys, it's your philosophy as well to make things happen, to be progressive. So we intend to be do interviews like this, do Q&As when we screen. We intend to screen in the universities, in the secondary schools, and have this conversation. So that maybe we need to water our grass to be greener, because sometimes the grass is not greener elsewhere. But for some people, migration can be slavery.
It's said that if you look into your neighbor's house and see that the grass is greener, ask him or her about his or her water bill.
Thank you very much.
So if the grass is greener, someone is watering more. Just tell us finally, it's airing at the Silverbird Cinema. Give us the times, give us when it is airing, the period, and what people can expect finally.
Exactly. So it's premiering on the 28th. And so the red carpet is at 6 p.m., but the screen will be 7 p.m. So 7 p.m., 9 p.m. on the 28th, and every day for 2 weeks.
Red carpet at 6. It's airing at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. on the 28th of February.
28th, and then 2 weeks thereafter, every 7 p.m., 9 p.m. So red carpet at 6 means that if you want to work on the red carpet and take the pictures and things, come early. And you can find the pictures at the Silverbird website and so on. And because we are dealing with you, we'll be promoting, we'll be sending all the notices and social media and so on. So those who are interested, you can buy your tickets in advance as usual. Thereafter, we go to Kumasi, to Golden Eagle to show. And then we are very interested in teaching the youth, talking to the youth. So we're going to the universities and the screens. There we'll screen for free.
I see. Interesting. We have Francis. He says, I'm watching you live at a workshop. That's good. It's good to know that even while you're working, you're watching us. But thank you so much for joining the conversation. And of course, we are fully in support of this. They say if you don't know your past, you have no future. So thank you for this industrious historical enterprise. That is Kwame Bwedi. He's executive director and producer for Omogana, Man for Chop. As my uncle KSM would say, look of you, But before we take a breather and come through with our big stories, Medicas Hospital is a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind. They have spacious wards built with your family in mind, a warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind, and they have also assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine led by Dr. Yawasa, the drive time doctor, to serve you. Here's what they have on offer. General medical services such as, and specialist services as well, such as plastic surgery, obstetrics, gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, and eye care. And in addition, they offer a comprehensive medical diagnostic service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays, and scans. And they have a 24-hour pharmacy ensuring you will always receive efficacious, safe, and affordable medicine. They also bring to you the most powerful medicine of all, simple human kindness and empathy. And they take pride in holding themselves to the highest attainable standards. They also accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. Now, all you have to do, make a beeline, find your way to Medicas Hospital at number 10 Kincho Street near the Ashaleboche School Junction. If you'd like to call them, you can reach them on this number, 0501 477 340. Or reach them on social media at Medicas GH. Medicas Hospital, a place of healing. Do stay with us when we return. There's more coming your way from Sweetie Abochi and Babatunde. We'll be right back.